Hello, everyone. I'm Adam from WhatCulture.com. That's right, it's my voice that you're hearing for the first time on the WrestleCulture podcast. This is episode 3, presented by WhatCulture.com. I finally escaped from the Punjabi prison where Kenny was holding me, and I've finally taken my rightful place at the mountaintop, that is the WhatCulture podcast. But I'm here for one special reason only, and that is to bring out and put over the man himself, Kenny McIntosh. Kenny, you there?
I'm here, and I'm glad that you've now finally told the masses that I'm not the prick that everyone thinks I am.
Well, I haven't told them that, Kenny. I haven't told them that, to be fair.
Because I've been getting a bit of a bad rap. You know, people are calling me the Roman Reigns of what culture, and if by that you mean I'm phenomenally attractive and successful, then I will take that.
Yeah. Phenomenally attractive and successful, but ultimately shouldn't talk, I believe, is the sort of general feedback we're getting from the What Culture fans.
And you're kind of like that scraggly underdog that just like, you know, the machine wants you to go away, but you're never going to go.
Oh, absolutely. No, they'll have to carry me away with a broken neck.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I'm the sort of goat-faced guy who's ultimately won the hearts and minds of the people, and I'm basically here to sort of put you over, like in Fastlane, on the way to WrestleMania, where you'll of course be crowned the What Culture heavyweight champion. I've got no doubt.
Yeah, there'll be no run-ins at that point. You know, we're going to do it right this time. We're not going to do a WWE thing and swerve people with cash-ins and stuff. I'm going to get my moment here. You know, but like it's funny because you know, I read through all of your lovely reader comments. I really enjoyed the person that told me to die, and I take that on board. It's not going to happen.
Which one of the hundreds of people was that in specific, or was it just the nameless mass just told you?
You know, I felt like taking the name would be too far. I felt like I'd be sort of giving them what they wanted. But you know, I all press is good press, I think. Well,
I don't know how many of the comments you've read, because some of them definitely aren't good press.
But you know, sometimes, you know, it's like when sometimes you go on a first date and you kind of go, oh God, she's horrendous. But then like by the end of it, you know, you may be like, oh, she's not as horrendous as I thought she was at the beginning. So,
Absolutely. You know. And if anything, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make out that you are not as horrendous as everyone initially has thought you to be.
I think that's all I can really aim for, you know, because the thing is, at the moment, it's kind of like, you know, I'm like the Michael Cole here in a way. You know, you're Jim Ross, and you've kind of you've had your bout of Bell's palsy. You're off television, and I've come on with my little denim outfit.
Yeah, your double denim.
My little I've been building stubble this week to get the goatee to its prime point.
So you get that soul patch and you're golden.
Exactly, and I can just feel that there's a sort of attitude logo carving of AB being made up right now to stick right in front of me. So, you know, I'm okay with it. I'm at peace with it. I've not self-harmed.
I think I'm going to be more like the Jerry Lawler of this, really. I think I'll be like, I'll start strong, plenty of jokes, plenty of sort of, you know, borderline inappropriate material, and then I'll just slowly fade away while you very, very slowly eclipse me. I think that's just how it's going to be, and I'm fine with that. I certainly don't think I'm the JR of this situation, but you're a very kind and handsome man for saying so.
Oh, I thought you were going to say I'm a very good Michael Cole, which I thought was going to be the best backhanded compliment I've ever received.
The only question is, who's the Heidenreich to your Michael Cole? That's all we need to find now.
Oh God. I don't even want to say any name to that. Like, there's no right answer.
Heidenreich might be the fans at the moment to your Michael Cole.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think that's but you know, it's funny. I think that over time, listeners, you will grow to sort of endure me being a part of this. And
yeah.
You know, it's Christmas coming up. You know, if you want to send me a present, you know, and I'm here. Think of me as like, I was going to say think of me as Uncle Kenny, but that's kind of the wrong thing to say, because that gives like connotations of something else that we don't really want to talk about. But
call me Uncle Ken. Sit on my knee and tell me what you want for Christmas.
That kind of stuff. That kind of delved into a bit of Adam's past that we don't want to really go any further. But yeah, I guess. I don't know where we go.
No, it's true. It's true. Call it like you see it. Absolutely.
But I'm new to WhatCulture, so you need to fill me in some of the stuff that goes on. So I believe that at the moment there is a WhatCulture World Champion.
That is correct.
Okay, and you are the champion right now.
I am the reigning, defending WhatCulture heavyweight champion of the world. That is true. Yeah, okay. And I took it off that dastardly Adam Pacitti at the Survivor Series, as everyone hoped I might.
And was he the inaugural champion, or was there a champion before this?
He was the first ever crowned WhatCulture champion. I can never hold that accolade. He was the first, and you never forget your first. But he will never be champion again, simply put. So I
True.
feel like it's good that he had a run with the title to begin with, sort of get that out of the way. But
Mm-hmm.
now that I'm around, we don't really need to go back to that.
So was he like almost like the Iron Sheik to your Hulk Hogan?
Exactly, a transitional champion, absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
that's right. And I will run forever and ever. I mean, I don't know if you're positioning yourself as the Ultimate Warrior here.
Well, I don't want to die of steroids at 54, so I think that I'll try and not become that. But no, I'd like to think of myself more as maybe like the Bret Hart. No, not the Bret Hart, because he looks like Aunt May from Spider-Man 2 now. But I'm trying to think of who I could be.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I'd quite like to be the Steve Austin. Like, I'd quite like to be the guy that we're in WCW. You're the champion. I'm not getting TV time, and people are going, "Oh God, that mid card guy is shit." And then
You'll never sell in just black trunks and black boots, mate.
exactly. But once I get my vest, once I get my vest on the go,
Yeah.
and I start getting some
That hair.
verbiage, yeah. I mean, the thing is, I can't go bald, unfortunately, because I do have an egg head. So that's the flaw in the plan. But
Really selling this whole Steve Austin pitch, I have to say. You've got that bulletproof self-confidence.
well, no, but you know that way. Like some people pull off bald very well. There are beautiful bald people in the like because when I was like 13, you get your hair cut when you're young. Well, you get your hair cut when you're older, but when you're getting your hair cut when you're younger, I was getting my hair cut. And those kind of like clipper things they use.
Yeah,
And the
yeah.
woman was using the clippers, and she like tripped over them and like went right in.
Oh no.
To like a 1.
Oh.
And I was like a fat child, like a really fat child. Like there's a picture of me, like presenting Big Ben, but you can't quite see Big Ben. Do you know what I mean? Like that's the level that it was. So
Yeah.
and I had got my head shaved, and it's an egghead. I'm not gonna lie. So I need to keep the hair. So I need to rethink who I'm gonna be. But we've got plenty of episodes to figure that out. But you are the Hulk Hogan. You're the man that steals the thunder behind the scenes, but ultimately is good in front of the camera. So
Absolutely. I've got my creative control in my contract, and I'm not going to lose to no smaller guys. Also, I'm a big old racist, so I'm really going to hold on to that for my success. I assume that was a secret of Hulk Hogan's success all those years.
I
That he
think
really held those views.
yeah. See, the thing is, like, because Hogan was like the reason I got into wrestling. Like, I could not his racist views, but like watching him at WrestleMania and stuff was like
Funny man who speaks the truth.
yeah. He tells it like it is. No, but like I really loved Hogan when I was a kid and all that, and it's become harder and harder as the years go on to defend the man. We had the Hogan knows best era, we had the Brook knows best era, which was even worse. But like one of my friends was talking to me, and I just thought this was such a great line. And he's like a casual wrestling fan. And he said, I don't know what's happening to wrestling now, because you've got the Chris Benoit thing, you get Jimmy Snuka, and you've got Hulk Hogan. I was like, well, wait a minute. I mean, you can't quite put Hulk Hogan on the same scale as Jimmy Snuka and Chris Benoit,
Yeah, that's true. I mean, he ultimately didn't kill anyone, but he is the sort of face of wrestling in the way that Chris Benoit and Jimmy Snuka perhaps weren't. And that's what's so devastating about Hulk Hogan is he is, for the majority of people who aren't wrestling fans, still what wrestling is. Like maybe John Cena, maybe people might know Stone Cold and The Rock, but Hulk Hogan is still sort of the benchmark. And for him to be that baby face, sort of flag waving face of the company, and still someone that they bring out for a nostalgia pop every so often, to lose him, it does feel like the walls crumbled down just a little bit. It was heartbreaking.
It's a fascinating time for WWE in a sense, because they want to have these kind of legends, these Mickey Mantle type guys that they have, or Babe Ruth, and they had Hogan, and now they've sort of slotted the Ultimate Warrior into that position. And what's really fascinating about it for me is that if you delve into the Warrior's past, he's said things on a very similar level,
Yeah, like proper homophobic things as well, which also Hogan has been accused of saying.
I just love the idea of Hulk Hogan at like a black gay rights rally, like just like really trying to fix his image. But no, I mean, because I remember that I'm sure. I'm not saying everybody has to have, because there is a thing now in the media, isn't there, where like the person has to be great for you to love the performer. You can't, if they do anything wrong, we're sort of chastising them for it. But what's kind of interesting about it is Steve Austin is a guy who
absolutely.
Steve Austin had domestic abuse issues in 2002. but we
Yeah.
kind of we shove that under the carpet because for whatever reason we love him so much that we just don't talk about it. But yeah, I think Hulk Hogan was a moron. He absolutely was. Like, there's no doubt about it. But who is not a moron is Brad Maddox.
Brad Maddox is certainly not a moron. I mean, he is similarly not with the WWE anymore, so he's like Hulk Hogan in that respect.
He is, yeah.
I don't think he accomplished quite as much as Hulk Hogan did in the WWE. I'm not sure. I haven't.
It's comparable, but I mean, I think Hogan just edges it a little bit.
Because you have done an interview, I believe, with, and we shouldn't be calling him actually Brad Maddox anymore. We should be calling him by his new name, which is, of course, Mad Braddox.
Well, I asked him before I clicked record on the interview. I said, do you want me to introduce you as Mad Braddox now rather than Brad Maddox? And he so elegantly said, I don't care.
There's a man who loves his craft.
But yeah, he's a really fun guy, and it's interesting because a lot of people that I know, and I don't know if you've experienced this from our lovely listeners or readers of WhatCulture, is that a lot of people are very fond of Brad Maddox for him not having really done much. And I don't mean that in a sense that he's had the chance and not performed, but he's not really been around that much. He's done a couple of on-screen things, but people really dig the guy.
He's slotted into that sort of comedy, underused guy who's clearly shown like a lot of personality, but for some reason or not, he just keeps being buried and buried and buried. Also, he's just slightly off. Is Brad Maddox. Like, if you go back and watch his stuff on TV, there's just something slightly alien about the way he performs. He doesn't perform on camera the way that most people do. He has like a weird delivery, which is slightly eccentric, which I think people really sort of gravitate towards.
Yeah, I think they do. And there's a funny story in the interview that I'll not give away about one of my friends who met him at Access. But he's a guy that seems to kind of live his character, and he knows that he has a strange sense of humor. And he sort of embraces that. And I think that's the thing now, when you watch wrestling, is that the people who are a little bit different in some way stand out to you. And I think he managed to do that. And
especially if they're not kind of seen, especially if the company aren't behind them, that's of course one of the reasons why people take to people so much. I know he's a darling on the Squared Circle Reddit. They love him over there. And I think he's going to do an Ask Me Anything over there soon, but you got there first. WhatCulture got there first, man.
I did. I like to wait until someone's like really depressed, and I like to pounce. Like,
who's just been fired?
No, that's legit. Like, as soon as someone's been fired, I'm immediately trying to find their contact information. So you'll notice this about me, is that I try to just kind of get to these people and just because I'm going to be nice to them and I'm going to sort of uplift their. I'm not going to go and find Oksana, but Brad Maddox was good, so.
Bad Oksana.
Did you actually, before we go to the Brad Maddox thing, did you see the Lana and Rusev Michael Cole interview?
Was that on Raw? Because I don't think I did.
It's on the website. I've not seen it yet, but apparently there's a big storm because Lana loses her accent.
Is this the one where Lana said she'll wait till her wedding? She'll save herself.
She did, but apparently midway through the interview, she also loses her Russian accent and just starts speaking American a little bit.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I've not listened to it fully, but people are saying that she did lose the accent a little and sometimes answered in an American accent.
She's been so good for that. Why has that happened?
I do love, though, that her response to this was that she decided to go on Twitter and say, "Thank you, kind tweeters, for noticing my improved American accent. I've been learning."
She's great, like, because she normally lives her gimmick as well. Like that, like, her Twitter feed is one of the only Twitter feeds that seems to be actually in kayfabe.
Yeah, she's incredible. I'm a big fan. I'm a huge fan of Rusev as well. I think for whatever reason, when he called the Miz Michael on Monday, it ended me. He's just. I feel like Rusev would be a great addition to the WhatCulture team if he was not a WWE wrestler.
He would. He's got great value. He's one of the funniest people on the roster for me. Is when he's just, because he's just so earnest in how angry he is about the stupid situations he finds himself in. Like when he was like I'm not going to champion the Summer Rae quadrangle more than it needs to be, which is not at all. But there were some segments in that which were genuinely funny, like the one where he gives Summer Rae a fish. It's called fish like Alana. And it's just like, you're brilliant, Rusev. The fact that you're willing, the fact that he main event, or, almost main evented WrestleMania as a monster heel and is now giving a woman a fish on Raw, but is still completely committed. I have nothing but respect for the Bulgarian brute.
One of my favorite things about Lana, and I really hope this is the case, I like to just... Because the thing is, with current WWE storylines, sometimes it's more interesting to imagine your own storylines that lead to what happens, rather than the sort of loose threads that you get. And I like to think that Lana was just sitting at home, and she was watching Monday Night Raw, and she saw the fish, and Summer Rae, and Rusev, and just thought, nah, I'm just going to tweet my engagement ring and put an end to this.
Yeah, I'm out. No, this isn't happening anymore.
So that's my hope that's what she did.
It boggles my mind that Vince McMahon got annoyed about that. I can't figure it out how, because there's rumors going around everywhere that Lana has nuclear heat backstage because she exposed her relationship on TMZ. But it's like, I can't think of a single wrestling fan who would care enough that they would have to change the angle on TV. Like, they know these people are playing a part, and they know that what happens in behind the scenes. I can't believe that they blew it out of all proportion so much so as to stop the angle like that. Makes no sense to me.
No, it doesn't. The only thing I can think of is that perhaps they kind of knew the angle was not doing well, and this was sort of their excuse to just drop it.
Throwing her under the bus is a horrible thing.
But I mean, that's like on Monday when Dave Meltzer had reported earlier on this week that when Ryback, the kiss of death in a wrestling segment these days is Ryback. I mean, he's just the worst. He's like that guy at school, he's in like high school drama, and he thinks he's like on Broadway. And he's never going to be on Broadway. Do you know what I mean? He's one of those guys. But like,
walks through the set, with a tiny little wig perched on top of his head, thinking he's doing Shakespeare.
That's Ryback. Like he's just so crap. Like he's just so crap. I can't. And some people will say, "Oh, Ryback's really good," and I'm just like, "Oh, I don't get it. I don't." But when he came out on Monday and said, "I heard from the Zig Man that you did go all the way to Lana," and it's an unscripted line. I mean, that kind of stuff just really gets on my nerves because I feel like these performers, whether you like them or not, they put a lot of sacrifices in their lives to do this. And to, like the one that annoyed me the most in my sort of history of being a fan of wrestling was when they drafted Jim Ross to SmackDown on live television and didn't tell him.
Didn't tell him? No, absolutely.
It's I don't comprehend that sort of that sort of mentality, I guess.
Well, they do a lot of these things which are just so avoidable that you can't fathom why they're doing it, if not just for controversy. Like I like obviously Bischoff wrote that book, Controversy Creates Cash, and I know that Vince McMahon thought that the Royal Rumble 2015 this year was a success because of all the controversy. The controversy was good for WWE, he said in a conference call. But some of the things they do, they leave such a foul taste in the mouth, like the Reed Flair thing that they did. Like if you're gonna do it, which you shouldn't do, you have to notify the family that you're gonna do it, and for it to come out that they didn't notify either his mother or Ric Flair, that it's just like why do you have to just knock your company's PR down? Like, it's so avoidable.
I completely agree with you. Can I just, before we obviously go to Brad Maddox, can I tell you one thing from Raw that made me want to throw myself out of a window?
Go for it.
Okay. Becky Lynch is an idiot. She is an absolute buffoon of a character. Here's why. So say you and I were in WWE and we were wrestlers, which is, it's not a far stretch. Say we were. If we were friends, what would be the only reason in the storyline that you would think we would step in the ring against each other?
I assume for the title.
For the title, exactly. So on Monday, Charlotte and Becky Lynch are just standing there, having a bit of banter in the back. And all of a sudden, Becky just says, "Oh, do you know what we should do, Charlotte? Do you know what we should do? We should have a match." And Charlotte thinks, "Yeah, like a tag team match. We'll face a tag team." And Becky goes, "No, just you and me, like for a laugh." And then she says, "But don't worry, you don't need to put the title on the line or anything." And then Charlotte says, "Okay, I'll do it on one condition. Can I bring Ric Flair?" And I'm watching this going, "Is this real?"
What?
Like, I mean, granted, it was 2:30 in the morning in the UK
Sure.
when I was watching this.
Yeah, that'll do it to you.
You just look at this and go, come on. I mean, this is not difficult to work out. This is not tough to comprehend. And then they say, they finish the segment off by saying, "Yeah, let's just pretend it's NXT again."
Oh, oh my God.
Baffling.
That's any kind of pretense that it's a competitive sport where people have stakes in the match. It's just going out the window. It's crazy.
But before we go, I've not asked you this yet, and I want to get your take. Who do you think is going to? Because let's be honest, nobody cares about TLC. Let's not pretend.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
Royal Rumble in January. Who do you think wins the Rumble match?
I mean, I feel like I have to say Reigns, but I don't want to. I just don't know who else can do it. It's either, in my mind, that I think if Cesaro's not going to make it back, which he's not, there really are three people who, just in a general storyline sense, are big enough to go to WrestleMania, and that would be Reigns, Ambrose, and possibly a returning Sami Zayn. And I just don't know. I mean, like, there's always a possibility there could be a big thing, and like Roman takes the title at Royal Rumble if League of Nations flops on its ass, which I don't think it should, because the guys involved are good workers, and Sheamus can be fun. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't see who it's really going to be other than Reigns. I don't know. What do you think?
Because my gut tells me that I feel like Reigns is going to win the title from Sheamus at the Royal Rumble, and then I feel like Lesnar will win the Rumble, so that we get the rematch. Reigns finally beats Lesnar at WrestleMania. But the problem I think with that is that whether you're listening to this and you're a Roman Reigns fan, or you're listening to this and you don't like him as the top babyface of the company, putting him in the ring with the rumors are it might be Reigns and Lesnar or Reigns and Undertaker. Putting him in the ring with either of them is like a death nail, because people are going to root for the legend or the beast. They're not going to root for the new guy who does long promos that people don't want him to do. So what I would love to see happen, actually, I never thought I'd say this, is I would love to see it be Reigns and Cena. Because I just don't know who people would go for. And I would be intrigued as to the dynamics of it, because for the first time in a long time, people are tweeting WhatCulture and tweeting all over the place, sort of saying, "I want John Cena back," and that's not something you hear.
With him being off the card for a while, it just goes to show just how necessary he was. Like, people give him a lot of slack, but he is the one thing that really lights a fire under the audience, and without him, there doesn't seem to be that kind of big foundation of excitement around things. And it's just like, obviously, I'm looking for the next top young guy as well, because he can't hang the company on Cena forever, but he just has that, people get to their feet when he's around. He just creates that buzz, and he is missed. In regards to Roman and Brock, I think it would be a great match, and I think there's a storyline thing for it, but they're not going to turn Roman heel, I don't think. I think if they were going to turn him heel, they had the golden opportunity to do it at Survivor Series, and the fact they didn't means I don't think he's going to be heel anytime soon. And yeah, like you said, if they put him in the ring with Lesnar, it'll be a great match, but it won't get him over as a babyface, because everyone will be cheering for Brock again, especially on WrestleMania, which is a smart. I think if you want to put Roman Reigns over as a top babyface, I think he's going to be going up against Sheamus at WrestleMania. That's if they don't tire, or if they don't kind of get the willies like they did at the last year.
And what T-shirt would you buy for WrestleMania? Would you buy a Roman Reigns T-shirt or a Sheamus 515 T-shirt?
I would buy a brand new Brad Maddox "Arrive, Work the Dark Match, Get Fired" T-shirt, which he released. He has released these T-shirts, and they're marvelous. I would wear one of those
I think that's a good idea.
to support a man no longer with the WWE, but who is a sound character, and who I believe you have spoken to recently, Kenny.
I have. I feel like we should finally sort of we've done Fastlane now. You've taken the pinfall.
Absolutely.
I can now go on to WrestleMania and attempt to win, but probably be cashed in on. And but for now, I did this interview yesterday. I hope you guys enjoy it. He is a guy worth following. Get him on Twitter at Brad Maddox is WWE. A guy who I hope that we see again one day. This guy was one of the most entertaining members of the roster as the general manager of Monday Night Raw, and he's been tearing it up on the house shows recently, and he's now with us here on the show. It is the former Brad Maddox, but now Mad Braddox. How's it going?
Hey man, I'm good. Thank you for that introduction. That was very kind of you.
And I guess we should just address the elephant in the room straight away.
Okay.
No longer with WWE. What happened? Because I know a lot of people. Your situation is kind of strange because through all the people that I've talked to that listen to podcasts and all that sort of stuff, people are very fond of you. Through maybe not having seen you in a while, and that's a lot of times with the talent, maybe if they don't see them on TV as much anymore, they kind of fade out of people's minds. But whenever your name's brought up, people are all still very fond of hearing about you and hoping that they're going to see you again. So I guess what happened?
Well, the dirt sheets are never wrong. Tuesday on the dark match before SmackDown, I used some language that Vince didn't like, and I didn't think of any of it as being inappropriate to say, but I guess it was.
So when you sort of used the language, one of the words was pricks, and here in the UK, like it is. I mean, it's not really a curse word, but it's kind of borderline over here. But did you, when you got to the back, were you told straight away, we're not happy about that, or did you not realize straight away? Were you told later on that it was a problem?
Yeah, I didn't realize. I didn't think anything of it when I was out there, and when I came back, they were kind of like, I don't know if that's okay or not. I don't know if you can say that. I'm like, oh, really? Because I've never thought of it, at any time growing up, because I'm a normal American. I cussed a lot in high school, and I don't remember that ever even being in my vocabulary or any of my friends ever saying, so I didn't think anything of it. But the locker room was kind of split, actually. Some of the guys were like, yeah, you definitely can't say that, and then the other half were like, it's not a problem. Why can't you say that? But it was, it only comes down to one man, and Vince obviously was watching, and he didn't like it. And I don't know if it's like a generational type of word that meant more a couple of decades ago. I don't know. I didn't think it was all that bad.
And obviously, in the sort of lead up moments that we hadn't seen you on TV for a while, what was the kind of, was there a plan for you going forward? Was there something that the company were planning to do with you to reintroduce you again?
I've been working with the writers for a long time, trying to find something that everyone would be happy with. My most recent venture was a gimmick with Adam Rose that we were trying out, and we had actually pitched it to Vince earlier in the day, and he seemed to like it, and he told us he liked it. So that was kind of what we were gonna go with, and then obviously what happened, and that was that.
And I guess the thing that's kind of fascinating now is in terms of when you have an idea that you want to pitch, is that something that you kind of go to the writers with, and then they'll take it to Vince, or is there a kind of a policy where you can actually go to Vince and bounce ideas off of him? Because you hear about how you hear some people say, "Oh, you can't talk to Vince," other people say you can. What was your experience with that?
My experience is that you definitely can talk to Vince. That's something that I didn't do a lot earlier in my career, which I wish that I had done. Because if I had gone straight to Vince, early on, like right when I came up, things would probably have worked out a lot different for me. But Vince definitely likes for guys to knock on his door and to come in and see him. He likes to talk to him. Vince is obviously a creative mastermind, so he likes when guys bring ideas and he can hash them out with them. He likes to get creative with guys. I don't know how the policy was like a decade or two ago, but I think maybe guys don't approach him as much anymore. I don't know why that is, but that was kind of something that I decided that I was, if I had ideas going forward, I was gonna go straight to Vince, just because everything's got to go through him anyway. So I kind of took the approach that I wasn't going to leave anything in anyone else's hands other than my own, because it's my career. So that's kind of the approach that I took. Earlier on, I kind of did go through the writers, but I just found it less effective because it's just more channels that the information has to pass through. Plus, Vince respects you more when you're not afraid to knock on his office and go in and pitch it to him yourself. He can get into that a little bit more, I think.
Yeah, it seems like that would, if you get there initially, you probably would be more likely to be a little bit hesitant to go straight to his office and knock on his door. But I'd imagine that after a while, you kind of figure, what have I got to lose? You may as well go straight to him and just see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, the system that they kind of have set up is that, you have your own writers and you're supposed to work with them and then they'll throw stuff out for you. But I just kind of found that it's more effective, and it's not, it's not frowned upon. Like, Vince doesn't tell you to get the hell out if you go knock on his door. So I figured if he likes it and it's more effective, then that's the way I'm gonna do it. So that's just why I went that way.
And a lot of people are kind of wondering what you're going to do now. Are you going to continue wrestling and keep going and see where that goes for you? Or are you going to try and branch out into other things?
Well, I'm definitely going to branch out. I'm definitely going to get into acting at some point, hopefully sooner rather than later. I don't think that I'm done wrestling. We'll see what happens. I'm kind of I'm working on different things right now and reaching out to different people, and I don't know where I'll be wrestling or when I'll be wrestling, but I don't think that I'm done. But right now, I'm just kind of getting things in order and enjoying American football.
I think you deserve some time to enjoy yourself and chill out. One of the things that I think was, I remember, I think it was WrestleMania 29 in New Jersey. I think that was the WrestleMania, but I remember one of my friends was at the WrestleMania Access, and you were doing a signing with Vicky Guerrero. The two of you were doing a signing together. And I always remember that my friend told me that he came back, because I was there and I'd been into something else, and he came over and he said, I met Brad Maddox and Vicky Guerrero. And I asked him how it was, and he said, it's funny because Vicky Guerrero was the sweetest woman alive. And she was so lovely.
I said that?
No, so my friend had met Vicky Guerrero and said, she was so lovely and blah, blah, blah. And I said, how was Brad Maddox? And he said, he was a dick. Like, as if but it's like you were playing the character of Brad Maddox.
I try to stay in character a little bit. I feel like it's more entertaining for people to interact with. Vicky, though, she's super sweet. She's like the nicest lady on earth, which is amazing because she did her character so well, and she was like the top heel on the show for a long period of time.
You seem to have a really good chemistry with her, though. You guys seem to work really well together.
Yeah, we did. We communicated off camera well, and we tried to work hard to play off each other well and to be entertaining. I thought we did a pretty good job.
Like you say, you got to work with Vince McMahon and Triple H. When in the process of sort of working there, did you decide, right, I'm gonna now speak up and try and say I want to wrestle, and how tough was that process for you?
So I started to speak up to like my assistant writer that that was assigned to me, and I was going through the process that I thought I was supposed to, and I would kind of pitch to those guys that I want to wrestle. But I didn't really speak up for myself until I got back on the road, which was when they fired me off TV as the general manager. Shortly thereafter, I stopped traveling, and that was like 8 or 9 months that I was sitting at home, and it was that period of time when you figure out what you want, what you don't want, and whether or not you're going to mess around. And I decided I wasn't going to mess around if and when I got back on the road and had a chance to. So when I got back on, that's when I started going to Vince myself and making sure he knew that, hey, I can wrestle, and I've done things, and I've been in your developmental system for years, and I've accomplished the things that they told me I was supposed to. So let's get me going. And that's when he got on board for the first time with me wrestling. And so that's when it started. When I started doing that was when I started to get somewhere. But
was there ever any kind of talk or discussion of maybe going back down to NXT, the television show, as opposed to actually like being there at the Performance Center, but kind of working that show? Because guys like Tyson Kidd have maybe gone back down there and found success down there before they came back up again. Was that ever a consideration?
Yeah, it was. I don't know. It just never really came up. I guess I could have pushed for that harder, but I don't know. I thought if I'm able to meet with Vince and I'm able to work with Vince and he wants to use me, then I might as well pitch for something on Raw rather than NXT.
And what was out of all the kind of things that you pitched, like what was your ideal scenario in terms of a character? Like what character did you want to do on Raw that you thought could be the best one that fits you?
I wanted to be like, I don't know, a little unhinged, not in like a Dean Ambrose way, but kind of a guy who'd tried for fame and stardom so hard that it kind of driven him a little bit loopy, and I kind of created some stuff on my YouTube channel to kind of reinforce that story, and that was kind of the thing that I pushed for. And one of my favorite ones was like a split personality character that I created for myself. I don't know if that was just too out there for WWE's product or not, but
both of those ideas sound like they'd be better than some of the things on Raw right now, so it doesn't sound that bad. In terms of you've talked a few times now about the writers and speaking to the writers and going through that process. As someone who worked there, do you think the process of how they put together the television right now is the best way they could do it, with having the writers and Vince above them, or do you feel that kind of, do you feel like it is a bit too kind of going through a middleman to get to somebody?
I don't know. I mean, I guess it's a system that's been proven to work for a long time now. I don't know exactly how it works, but it's hard for me to dissect it when I don't know all the moving pieces, and obviously Vince has created an empire doing it his way. So, it's his ball, it's his court, and it's worked for him. So.
And one of the most recent appearances that you had was with The Undertaker on Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah.
That talk us through that.
I was a turkey. I was a turkey on television, which might not seem like a big deal to you foreigners, but here in America, there is no higher honor than being a turkey on Thanksgiving. I would like you guys to know that over there.
Yeah, we should be aware of that. I mean, you were one step away from being the gobbledygooker, really.
I was. I would have preferred like a whole turkey head. In fact, I was kind of under the assumption when they told me I was going to do this, I kind of just thought it was going to be a full turkey head, and then I got to Jimmy Fallon and saw the outfit, and I was like, is there more to this? I guess, all right, they're going to know who it is.
It's funny because somebody had told me, they said, have you seen Brad Maddox getting tombstoned by The Undertaker and Jimmy Fallon? And I was just like, what? Like, is that a real sentence that was put together? Like, it seemed like the Undertaker on Jimmy Fallon is bizarre enough, and then you being there in a turkey outfit.
It was pretty surreal. It was definitely one of the most memorable things that I've gotten a chance to do in my life. It was a fun experience going to the city and being in 30 Rock and meeting Jimmy, and Jimmy told me that I had made it in show business, after he saw me dressed up as a turkey. So, I mean, it was all fun.
Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on and chatting to us. But where can people, whether they want to try and maybe bring you over and book you for a show, or they want to tweet you and tell you how much you look like Eric Bischoff, where can they find you?
Well, my Twitter handle is at the moment it's still Brad Maddox is WWE. I guess I need to get that changed at some point. But that's what it is right now. Brad Maddox Bookings at yahoo.com if you want to book me and offer me a lot of money. I have a T-shirt store. For the first time, I have T-shirts for the first time in my 9-year career on prowrestlingtees.com/MadBraddox. Mad Braddox. It rhymes with Brad Maddox. That's how you can remember that.
Do you know, one of my friends, when I told him that I was interviewing you tonight, he said that he one of his friends had told him that you were changing the name to something, and he'd said, please tell me that he's changing it to Mad Braddox. Please tell me he is. And luckily you didn't disappoint him. So
I feel like it's the ultimate name, so I had to.
It is. I feel like it would be really, really exceptional if you like travel the world and make loads of money as Mad Braddox.
Yeah,
like, I just feel
it's kind of like whatever direction you want to go in, it's the perfect name.
It is. Well, yeah, again, thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it, and hope to see you on a television screen again in some form, whether it's a turkey or a wrestler or an actor, whatever it is.
Yeah, something. Hopefully I don't just die off.
I'm sure you won't. At the very least, you can play Eric Bischoff in prequels.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I'll give him a call, and I'll give Jimmy a call and see what happens.
All right. Thanks very much, and have a good night.
Thank you. Take it easy.
Take care.